Yes, people, this is your girl Aleisha Lee, and Aleisha Lee Reviews is back. We are back with season 6 of Black Mirror, and we are kicking straight off with episode 1, Joan is Awful. Let's get into this. The episode starts with us meeting Joan for the first time. She's waking up, getting ready to go to work. We see her on her way to work, and she has to get ready to give some bad news to one of her staff members. And she has to break the news to her that she will no longer be needed. Sandy, obviously devastated after just having put a deposit down on a new apartment, pleads with Joan, and Joan just, gives her the touch. As Sandy is escorted out by security, Joan is having a puff on her vape when it happens to drop and land on Sandy's head. And that's when Sandy is just like, "Joan, you coward." And obviously Joan is embarrassed by the whole thing. Now we see Joan talking to her therapist, and she lets her know that one day she would like to run her own coffee shop, and she doesn't feel like she is the main character in her own story. We also see her talk about her ex Mac, and that is who she has been texting all throughout the day. Later on, we see that she does actually meet up with Mac and they share a kiss. He lets Joan know that he's going to be in town for a few more days, and she makes her getaway and decides to go home. Later on, we see Joan with her boyfriend chilling, relaxing, getting ready to watch a bit of what they call in this universe Streamberry, but we all know is Netflix. And it's strange because I'm on Netflix watching these people watch Stream. Anyway, they're watching, and then they come across a program called Joan is Awful, and the person, which is Salma Hayek, actually has the same hair as Joan, and it intrigues them because it's strange. Imagine that though. Imagine you're just sitting down chilling with your bae, and then all of a sudden you see Aleisha is Awful and the girl there with my same hairstyle. Nah. So as they watch the episode, they decide to watch, and before that there's some Easter eggs, because before that you can see shows like Sea of Tranquility, which we know has been mentioned in previous seasons. We also see a program with Ripman, and he was in Bandersnatch. We also see, if you look really closely, White Bear, Skillane, we see her there as well. There's a few Easter eggs there just on that screen alone. We also see Lock Henry, where Krish says he's not really feeling watching another true crime, and it's funny because that is going to be the next episode in the new season. So that's just giving us a sneak peek. So they decide to watch Joan is Awful, and that is when we get to see that this program is based on Joan and everything that's happened earlier that day. Also remember, during that day, Joan was getting some text messages from her ex Mac. Oh no. So obviously Krish has seen this and has decided to leave because Joan cannot explain to him why she has been messaging her ex. Sad times. Joan is clearly shocked, confused, doesn't know what's going on. And the following day when she goes to work, bearing in mind all her co-workers, everyone has seen it. Even when she's leaving to go to work, you see her neighbor that said hello to her the previous day. He was like, "Shame on you." I said, "Nah, look at this guy, out of order." So when she gets to work, she is now told she has lost her job, because what was mentioned when she was letting Sandy go is a breach of her contract. So she's basically also out. And imagine now she has to watch this when she goes home and sees this play out. Everything is a bit heightened in this show. So yes, although it is based off of Joan's real life, everything is slightly heightened. Even down to the scene where Joan met up with her ex. Yes, they did kiss and it was intense, but not as intense as what we saw when Salma Hayek was playing her on the show. I said, nah, they're really going for it. Now this leads Joan to go and visit her solicitors, and the solicitor lets her know that there is nothing they can do. Streamberry cannot be sued because she accepted the terms and conditions. The solicitor explains that when that pop-up comes up to say accept, you hit accept, and that is what it looks like in paper format. If you saw how thick that file was that she gave to her, honestly guys, this makes you think, what do we accept? Usually when we do these apps and when we download them, we just click accept because we ain't got time to read through all of these terms and conditions. But this is definitely letting you know that you need to start reading it. Will we? I don't know. I'm not sure. This leads Joan to go home, and she does a lot of eating, let's just say that. She gets a lot of burgers, and I was watching thinking, what are you doing, Joan? You can't be this hungry. Because next minute you just see her drink I said, wow, what are you going to do? We see her speed off to a church, and yes, my girl not even my girl, I can't claim them girl there. Joan lets off the biggest rippage in the church, mash up people them wedding, and all of this obviously is going to be on the show. So I get the logic, I do get it, but Joan, we couldn't think of something less disgusting. Oh, she even had the cheek to say, get the kids out of here, get the kids out of I said, girl, you shouldn't even be in here about get the kids out of here. Nah. After she got arrested for that act, and you see the police officer was like, disgusting. She got home, she watched the show, she was loving it. But that led to Salma paying her solicitor a visit, and her solicitor let her know the same thing as well. There's basically nothing they can do. You've licensed your likeness to the show, therefore they can basically do anything, and there's no limit to it. Salma, she was giving me jokes. She was making me laugh, seriously. Some of the one-liners that she was coming out with, she was telling this man about himself, she fired him, and off she went. And that is when we see Joan has a visitor, and yes, it is Salma. It has worked. Joan's plan has worked, and obviously clearly Joan is embarrassed, but Salma lets her know, girl, it's disgusting, like, what is that? But that's when they come together to create a plan to take Streamberry down. They read a newspaper clip with the CEO and decide they are going to pay her a visit. Now, this is where Joan lets her know that we won't be able to get in, i.e. me and you, but you're Salma Hayek. You got this, you can get in. And that's exactly what they do. Salma makes her way in and lets Joan in the building too, and that's where they see the Streamberry CEO discussing all of the details. There is a quantum computer that creates AI generated content specific to each user. Now the interviewer asks, why is it negative in sense of why is it Joan is awful? The CEO lets her know that they trialed a series where it's more positive. For example, they had Brian is awesome, but that weren't really hitting it. People love the negativity, which we know is true. That's what I'm saying. I love Black Mirror. I've been riding with Black Mirror since season 1. And one thing Black Mirror is good at is basically holding up that mirror to us in terms of not just technology, but making you think about social affairs, things that are morally right or wrong. This is what this show is about. The CEO says that the negative version of the show, it brings in more engagement. Positive content doesn't get as much engagement as content that has a more negative tone to it. Now we see Joan and Salma make their way to the quantum computer, where they are met by Michael Cera, who explains to them that Joan that we've been watching isn't actually the real Joan. This is where I was like, what? Source Joan is the real Joan. She's the Joan that this Joan that we've been watching's life is based on. So the Joan we've been watching ain't the real Joan. And even everyone was like, what's going on? So there's basically different levels to it. And they're on the first iteration of these different levels of the show, because if you remember previously when we saw Salma Hayek watching the show, we would see Kate Blanchett would be Joan in that level of the show. And we realized that the Joan that we've been watching is actually played by actress Annie Murphy. They knock him out because he was just talking too much. Now Joan is ready to destroy the quantum computer. The CEO comes out explaining that billions of people will die, and these are souls that believe they really exist. Joan/Annie Murphy says Joan is already here. If she's here, that means that this event has already happened. She's already decided what's going to happen, and she destroys that quantum computer. And as she's doing that, we start to see flickers of Salma and Joan/Annie. Then we see the real Joan. Yes, the security come in and take Joan away, but she is finally free. Now we see Joan is speaking to her therapist and just giving an update on everything that's been going on and feeling like now she is the main character in her story. And that's when we see Joan is now a owner of her own cafe. In her therapy session that she had, she did talk about wanting to have her own shop, and now seeing it in real life is just a dream come true for her. We then see Annie Murphy come in, and it's great that these two have remained friends despite their ordeal. And yeah, that is the end of the episode. But if you guys watched the end credits, you would have seen the footage of the real Joan committing that atrocity in the church. No, it was a brilliant episode. I got to give it to Black Mirror. What a great way to start the new season. I enjoyed it. I am going to give this episode 8 boys out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a great episode. And yeah, Black Mirror is back. The next episode is Lock Henry. That is episode 2. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when that episode review is out. And yeah, guys, I thoroughly recommend you get onto Black Mirror. Even start from season 1 if you've never watched Black Mirror before. It is a real thought-provoking as well as entertaining show that just makes you think. And I'm excited to see what the rest of this season is bringing. But yes, people, make sure you stay blessed. And I will catch you in the next review. Done now, boy.
People don't know, I just want to enjoy my day. I'm so